And tonight we are hosting Matthew Crocker, who is an agile coach and also a competitive athlete. And Matthew may reveal what field he was competing in. And I prepared a nice introduction for Matthew, but lost my page, sorry. Matthew, why don't you tell us yourself about your passion for how everything starting from running can be observed, measured, for improvement, and how you translate it to the life cycle of the teams.
So I'm tempted again to say good morning. So good evening to most of you. Good morning to me, maybe. So yeah. So I've been practicing track and field since the age of 9, and I'm 32 now, so practically all my life. And for the past almost 15 years, almost at a national level, international level. I mean, for our standard in Malta, right? So representing my country, representing also, my club and so on. And the idea is that even though everyone can run, so if you're late for the bus, I'm sure everyone can get out their best of sprints. However, with my experience, I've learned that there's a lot of technique, there's a lot of physics behind running that if you master, you can run faster. And when I was then introduced, when I started my career as a software developer, a lot of analogies coming up to my mind, right? So I started noticing that flow is a science. There's a lot of science behind flow, and if you look at that, you can do a lot of improvements without really straining yourself. Actually, you can fly much faster in a smarter way. So that basically opened up a nice opportunity for me to start looking at the data of teams, at helping teams, my own teams, even when I was still a developer, to see where we are losing time and how we can optimize ourselves without working longer hours, basically. And that basically opened up my huge interest in agile coaching and the way I do it today. And that's today, basically. Okay, so Elena, shall I start with my presentation?
Yeah, you shall, and I shall add a little fun note for those of you who doesn't know. For Matthew is joining for this presentation, making presentation from Malta, so it is barely 4 a.m. to him. We can give him a round of applause for such passion. And now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much, Elena. So let me share my screen. Okay. So as Elena said, and also as you can see from the meetup link, today we're going to talk about popcorn flow. It has little to do with the food. It's a meeting setup that I will explain later on. As I said, so this is a bit of background about me. I'm an agile coach. My main interests are leadership, team coaching, data and forecasting. I really like talking about data, so that's a soft spot for me. I've been doing what I do for the past 5 years. I've helped a number of teams, of voluntary organizations, of leaders as well. And I am also a co-creator of what we called the Decision Espresso. It's a workshop format inspired by the design sprint. aimed to be finished in a single workday. So that's why the espresso part. So an intense experience of the design sprint, basically. And so my job is really to work with organizations and teams and people to grow their agile muscles. And I will, so this is the agenda for today, right? From my end, I will first give, again, talking about agile muscles, what it is to be agile. And then I will use this to as a background of why popcorn flow is useful and what it is in the first place. And then I prepared some small exercises for you. So my idea was that since this should be a meeting format, I thought that maybe we can go for a bit more experiential delivery of the material. So you will be broken out into rooms to experiment, to try out the different phases, some of the phases of the popcorn flow, so that you can get a taste of it. Okay, so yeah, so quite early for me in the morning to be philosophical, but what is it to be agile? And yeah, so many might say that it's short iterations, and it is to a certain extent. However, as we all know, and as we can see from this slide as well, we can do waterfall in shorter iterations and it would be still waterfall. So yeah, short iterations is something, but it is not agile. Small teams, perhaps, yes, but this is also a small team and one where it's not maybe what we usually preach or what we usually promote when it comes to promoting agile teams. Yeah, so what else? What is it to be agile? Frequent communication, of course. So I don't know about you, but I've been to countless interviews where they promote themselves as an agile organization because they do daily meetings. So yeah, since we are talking daily, then we should be doing agile. But we all know that frequent communication can also be dysfunctional, right? So we can talk about the highest paid person's opinions. The one-way communication, it can be frequent and it can be not, it is not agile. Never-ending discussions and yeah, the classic one. So we meet to meet so as to plan to plan. Okay, so this never-ending recurrent meeting just to meet and to plan. So yeah, so it seems that not even frequent communication defines what agile really is. And if I had to give it a shot myself, I would ask these three questions. I would ask how often do you experiment? How often do you fail? And how often do you learn from your failures? And I know I'm a bit pessimistic here. I'm focusing a lot on the failures, but I know very well that once again I'll take a saying that we have in athletics that we say in a race you either win or you learn, and many times you learn from your failures, right? So yeah, and what's most important in my opinion is that even agility, the concept of agility, is not tied down to building code, to writing code, or to writing user stories, but it should count for the team's mindset, for everything that the team does. And yes, so this is a very good introduction to Popcorn Flow. So the author of Popcorn Flow, Claudio Perrone, he has this saying that goes like, if change is hard, let's make it continuous. And I think that is a very good description behind the motivation of the Popcorn Flow. So the Popcorn Flow is a meeting format. It flows in 7 steps, and it's an acronym. So Popcorn is an acronym, and yeah, it stands for problems and observations, options, possible experiments, committed, ongoing, review, and next. And yeah, so it's a flow because every step, of course, leads to the next one. And the idea is to observe, to gather as many and to collect as many problems and observations from the team as possible, convert them to creative options, and then convert them again to actionable experiments that ultimately the team can experiment with. And yeah, so as I said, I can talk about I can describe what popcorn flow is, but I would rather have you try out some of the steps so that we can talk with some context again. And to give it a try, my idea was to break you out in rooms, and you will be the product experts hired by a new food app called Food App, which is a food app for the San Francisco area. Yeah, so the investors would like this to be a successful story. They know that there is a major challenge because the market is quite saturated with some big players already. And yeah, but they still want to bring San Francisco's best food chains to the customers' doorsteps. And you are the product experts. And what I will be doing now is that I will be sending you some material, a sheet, where you can already see some competitor analysis to get some context. Let me explain. So this is basically, can you still see, can you see the popcorn sheet here? Okay, so once you break out in rooms, you will open a sheet which is similar to this that I'm showing you now. And this sheet has multiple tabs here. The first tab is more to give you, the idea behind the first tab is more to give you a big picture, the big picture of how the popcorn flow board would look like. And as you can see, it's a flow, and it works very much like a Kanban board. Okay, good. Then the idea is that first so this is the information package that I told you about. You can have you can see some competitor analysis, some positive and negative reviews about some major players in the markets, and also, since we are living the times that we're living, some COVID regulations from the state of California about food handling. So what I invite you to do once you break out into your rooms for the first time is to go through this information package as a team. Am I clear? Am I going too fast? So far, so good? Okay, so after that, then you will have 3 exercises, as you can see. For each exercise, you have a separate sheet, and I will be explaining closer to the exercise so that I don't overload you with information. I know that you're tired from your workday, so I don't want to be to overload you with information. So this is basically the first exercise. Volker, do we have the rooms ready?
Yes, we do.
Okay, so I will send this link with this Google Drive folder. When you are broken out in your rooms, just take the sheet as a team. Take the sheet with the corresponding number of your rooms. So if you are in room 1, take sheet with sheet 1. Is that clear for everyone?
Link is posted to the top of the chat. Everyone can see. If not,
I will post it now. Yeah. Okay, this should be it. Yeah.
So we have 6 breakout rooms.
Excellent.
So when you enter the breakout room, make sure you catch the number of your room so that when you get to the Google Sheets folder, you know which of the documents corresponds to your team.
Are we good?
Be on mute, David. Any questions?
I need a refresher on what are we
Yeah.
doing?
So in your
breakout?
first 10 minutes, go through the information sheet. Assign appoint a facilitator within the team. It will be helpful so that not everyone is writing on the sheet at the same time. It's good to have a facilitator to kind of coordinate a bit the editing of the sheet. Go through the information package and take some time to align whether you understood the information, what are your sentiments around that you got from the information that was shared from the information package. Is this clear? Yeah. So.
Awesome. And this first breakout room will be 10 minutes. So yes. Pace yourself accordingly. And if there are any questions, I will start the breakout rooms. All right, here you go.
Welcome back, everyone. How was that?
That was good.
Good.
Some teaming.
Sorry, Alina?
We did some teaming. We have team.
Good. So I guess we're ready to start going through the flow. And so the first step of the popcorn flow is to identify problems and observations. And yeah, so this is a crucial step, of course, because it's the first one. And the idea basically is to get team members to list down, to share the observations that they have or the problems that they see for the context of the meeting. So in your case, it's the food app business. So what are the observations? What are the challenges that we are seeing in the market? But for example, when it comes when teams use popcorn flow for a retrospective, for example, the context is what problems did we find during the sprint? What observations did we see and that are slowing us down? And yeah, so what's crucial here is that the team members are to pitch in problems, not predefined solutions. And there's a very subtle line. But the way, and this is also where the facilitator will play a very crucial role. The idea is that since this is the first step, the problems that are presented need to open up for discussions, ideas, and opinions, so that the rest of the team can actually engage in a creative discussion. So if you have a predefined solution, of course, that kills the momentum, right? Because there's little to add or little to explore in a predefined solution. And to facilitate this, just some tricks from my experience, I like either using the 5 whys technique. Okay, so for example, management needs better estimates. Okay, good. But why do they need better estimates? Why aren't we giving them better estimates? Okay, so the 5 whys, you are all familiar with that. And or else we can also, you can also try something which is a bit more common in design thinking and in design sprints. Start changing the sentence into a question that starts with how might we, whatever. Okay, so in this example in the example of better estimates, how might we give management better estimates? Okay, or yeah, and it already opens up the statement to something that the team can actually engage with and discuss. Yeah. So yeah, do you have any questions before we move on to the exercise? Okay. So in your breakout rooms now, you will be given the task to change some badly worded problems into better ones fit for popcorn flow, and I will show you what you have again in your exercise sheet. So over here on column C, you have some problems that someone or the team has come up with in the context of the food app here. Now your task would be to change these into something that is more open for discussion as promoted by the popcorn flow. I am giving you also an example here. So for example, one of the COVID regulations by the state of California is that ready-to-eat food must be protected from contamination. Okay, but how are we going to do it? So how might we do it? What is the problem really that we would like to solve there? And I'm giving you an example there. So how might we keep food protected from contamination? This is a very simple way how to translate it, but you can also, for example, if you go to the 5 whys, so why is this a problem? Okay, it's the law, but why is this a problem? Yeah, customers would need to, for example, feel safe that they are opening food delivered by us. Good. So how might we help customers feel safe? And that's a problem, that's an observation that, as you can see, it opens up for creative ideas. Okay? So in your breakout rooms, you will be given 10 minutes to do this exercise. Is that good?
I have a question.
Yes, please.
So each problem could be reworded into one different sentence, or to like referring to your techniques of 5 why in the several different?
So I gave you 4 problems. The idea behind this exercise is not to translate all of them, but actually to get this kind of discussion and exercise to reword the problem. So you can do as you wish. You can either stick to one problem and try to reword it with the 5 whys, for example, or go through all the problems and see how they would transform. Yeah.
Okay. Thank you.
Good. Okay, so I think we can, if there are no other questions, we can go to the breakout rooms again.
10 minutes.
10 minutes.
7:22 Pacific. Here we go.
Okay, so how was that? A bit tricky, right? Yeah. Yeah, I know. And a lot of teams get this wrong. And this is the most laborious part of the popcorn flow, if you ask me. And even more so is the voting for the problem. So popcorn asks the team to decide on one problem. And the decision is done by voting in a unanimous format. So it's not democracy, it's the whole team backing a single problem. And we would like to avoid what we're seeing on the screen, right? Yeah, I mean, this is where the facilitator would play a very important role. I will not ask you to do it. I know you're all tired from your workday, but I will guide you. I will kind of simulate a bit what a facilitator would do at this stage if there's disagreement between the team. So yeah, this is the facilitator. Okay, so the way I usually approach it is this. So first I go to the minority, so those who voted on different problems than the majority of the team, and I would ask them some questions like, why did you choose other problems? What are you seeing important in them? And what would you change in the problems supported by the majority so that you could also support it? Okay, because ultimately what we want is to create a conversation where the team converges to a single problem. And at the same time, I would also turn to the majority and I would ask them, okay, so what do you think about what the minority said? Why do you still think that what you voted for is more important? And why so, if so? And yeah, how can we change the wording of the problem to make it work for the whole team? And this can take some time. Okay, that's why I avoided giving it to you as an exercise today. But as you can see, this opens up a lot for discussion, for conversation for the team, and it's an opportunity for the team to actually learn as well about each other's pain points. And a classic example, which I found many times, is concerns where situations where you have a product owner and developer. So the majority might have more technical concerns than the minority, which is the product owner. But I've seen situations where the product owner managed to convince the rest of the team, and this is, as you can see, an opportunity for the team to consolidate. the rest of the team to share its own her own concerns that can enable her to do better product work, basically. Okay, so yeah, this is basically how it goes. Exactly how it. So yeah, do you have any questions on this? Because we're moving on to the next section, which is the options. Clear? Okay, good. So the next section is options, and I really like this. Step, I'll be honest with you. So it's time for the team to be creative, and I use this simple rule. You can only beat an option with another option. So even if someone proposes the craziest of options, you cannot shoot it down. You can only shoot it down you can only challenge it by proposing a better suited option. And so yeah, I've been in teams where the creative juices were working so much that we managed to come up with some 20 options. Eventually, of course, this might derail a bit. So I would suggest to keep the discussion around 5, and the target to be around 5 to 10 options. Okay, yeah, I mean, it's hard to describe what you need to do because ultimately it's being creative, no? So every situation is different, but what you will have in your, back to your sheet, in your exercise sheet, I defined the problem here. So I chose the problem for you, I did the voting myself. And yeah, just come up with options. Over there, I gave you 10 slots. Don't feel, as in, do as many as you like. So yeah, so for this problem of dealing with hungry people, I gave you the example of, yeah, why not ask them to rate their hunger with a hunger score, for example. Okay, so that's the option that I proposed. Feel free to beat it with other options. Is it clear what you need to do in your breakout rooms? Yeah? So we can break out again, Volker. Welcome back again. Did you come up with some creative ideas that will disrupt the food app industry? Yeah. Okay, so we're approaching the end. So the next step would be to bring the options that we came up with to experiments that we can evaluate. An experiment that we can say whether it's an idea is a successful idea or not so successful one. So the transformation that the team would need to do at this stage is to take an idea, take an option, and make it actionable. Make it clearly actionable. So think about what the team will actually do. Think about metrics. Is it clear? So we need to create clear parameters that basically tell us that the idea is a successful one or not, basically. So think about metrics, think about specific, don't worry being specific. In fact, in the sheet, in the exercise sheet, possible experiments here, I went quite specific. So I'm not expecting that you go in such specificity, but as you can see, I have metrics. So this experiment will only be successful if I have around about 200 samples. I have a very clear flow here, and it's quite specific, okay? And we can, as a team, we could take this experiment up, we can hack it quickly and see whether it will boost our app or not, basically. So yeah, an idea has now been transformed into an experiment. So, I mean, is it clear what this step asks from the participants? Yeah? No, not really. What is not clear? What questions do you have? Do you have any questions? Let me go through the example again. So from the previous example, I as an option, I suggested that we give a hunger score. We ask a hunger score from the customer, right? So, okay, but how would we do it? And that is the experiment. So how can we make sure that this hunger score works, that brings in the results that we are after? And what I'm suggesting here is that upon order confirmation, we ask the customer to give a low, medium, high score about their hunger, basically, and then see whether there is any correlation between this the feedback that we gave them and their happiness, their final rating at the end of the delivery. Okay, so this is a way how to implement an idea. What you would need to do in your breakout rooms is to take any option which you came up with and try to think of how you could turn it into a measurable experiment. Yeah, would this make it clear? Is it clear what you need to do? Yeah. Okay, good. So I will give you. I'm aware that we are very close to running out of time, so I will give you only 5 minutes this time. Focus only on one option, and yeah, just try it out as a team.
Matthew, when you say hungry people, and I apologize, I joined late. Are you talking about diners in a restaurant?
No, this is a food app, and it's delivery. So people at home after work waiting for their food, basically. Okay. But that's the example that I gave you anyway. So every team took its own part at this stage. I think we can break out into rooms again, unless you have any other questions. 5 minutes this time, focus only on one option and try to turn it into an experiment. Yeah?
Hold on, we have a few latecomers. So let's just, here's the link to the folder. And when you get into your breakout room, check with your teammates which of the spreadsheets they're working in so that you get the same view as the rest of your team. All right, we'll be back at 7:50.
In 5 minutes. Yeah. See you soon. Welcome back. It was a quick one. But yeah, so time is slowly approaching. So, and the sun is coming up almost in Malta. So, yes. Okay. So the idea behind your exercise was basically to try to transform creative ideas into something that the team can run with. There's something that the team can validate at the end of a cycle. But what would be missing then is the commitment from the team, and that would be step 4. Okay, so we don't have any more exercises. So this is a very short theoretical part. So we've come up with experiments. Now it's time to commit them, to commit for them. And but this is very simple. So what you need to think of is set a deadline, yeah, if it helps the team to execute the experiment a bit better, maybe we can say that we assign particular tasks to particular individuals to start off the process of the experiment, basically. So that's basically it. And so is it clear what step 4 would be? Basically, it's a commitment by the team. Yeah. So the last 3 steps are then iterative steps. So for long-lived experiments, it's good to evaluate which experiments are ongoing and how they are doing. So if you committed, for example, in a retrospective, for an experiment that will live for 2 or 3 sprints, every other retro is good to see whether any progress is being made on that experiment. Okay, so that's the ongoing part. The review is for closed experiments. So an experiment had its deadline expired. Did we succeed? What were the results? Okay, and that's why it's important for possible experiments to give clear parameters of what is a successful or a failed experiment. And the next phase is it's an exploratory phase. So after we experimented and we tried to solve a particular problem, we could have identified a number of new problems that we weren't seeing before. So what we would say at this stage would be, okay, so we've done this experience, we've done this experiment. What did we learn? What's next for this problem? Is it over? Was it a problem in the first place? This is the kind of discussion that you would have in a team in this phase. And the cycle starts again. Okay. Did I rush too much here through these 3 steps? No? Clear? Okay, so some questions maybe that you can either put your answers in the chat, or maybe share with us with a short open mic. How would wording go? So from your experience of wording problems, how did the wording of problems impact your discussions?
I want to go. Like, I think the problem description is precise. It can be directed in a right way, because we have to, the description of the problem should be very clear, because even the small misunderstanding also, we can go in a other way and figure out some other solution of the problem. So I think giving the right words for the problem description is very important.
Exactly, and that's why I emphasize a lot on focusing on alignment, and even that's why the voting helps. The lengthy process of unanimous voting has a positive side effect of clarifying any hidden areas of the problem. Valerie, you have something to say? Yes, please go ahead.
Yeah, also the wording of the problems matter in terms of whose perspective are you taking? Because out of all the information we got, was it a complaint on the customer's behalf, or was this a business requirement that we had to meet and customers didn't have a choice, but we're trying to address it? So the wording of the problems also include you into whose perspective you're taking it from.
Exactly, and ultimately you converge into a team perspective, which is what will drive the driving force behind the ideas then. Yeah.
I think flexibility is the most important thing in discussion and debate with team.
Okay. Yeah. So another question. So what impacted the flow? So when you were coming up with options, what was the crucial element in the team that either blocked the flow of options or actually made it work?
Having fun seemed to improve the ability to create more options.
Exactly.
Yeah, like throwing in something crazy actually helped, because then it reminded of your rule of thumb, like, beat it with another option, beat my crazy with your crazy. That was kind of helpful.
I like that. Beat my crazy with your crazy. I like that. Exactly. Okay. And one final question from my end. So where would you see this quick experimentation flow help in transforming an organization?
I think it's helpful because a lot of times organizations don't want to make like a huge investment in design thinking, and something like this that has an acronym, people love acronyms, especially if they're catchy. I think it's an easier, I'll say, organizational change implementation to get them thinking in this way, because it's catchy.
Yep. And if I may add to what you said, Karen, is that what's good about Popcorn Flow is that it's just a format for a meeting. It doesn't add any overheads. So it's basically educating a team how to discuss. And it does so in an efficient way, directing them towards experimentation, which is good. Thanks, Karen. Anything else? Okay, so that was it from my end. I thank you for your participation. If you want to reach me out, this is my contact information. yes, so I'm on Medium, LinkedIn, and Twitter, and you can also visit my site, my name and surname.com, so it's easy to remember. And I would appreciate if you find some time to give me some feedback at the end of the, anytime you like, so that I can improve going forward. So looking forward to keep in touch, and thanks for the opportunity.
Excuse
So
me.
you pasted the link to a feedback form. Got it.
Yes, so I just pasted the, yeah, this should be it. I'll copy it again.
Yeah, got it.
Okay, so that's the Google form, the feedback form. I'd appreciate any feedback from you.
Valerie, did you have a question?
Yes,
Yeah.
sorry, Valerie, I didn't see it, sorry.
So you're going to iterate through maybe several possible experiments over time.
Mhm.
And maybe some of them are more or less successful or comparable. So would you then go back and sort of, out of all of these experiments, prioritize or sort of...
So, yeah, good question. So I think the laws of work in progress limits here apply as well. So ultimately you need to learn your lessons. And if you come up with a lot of experiments and you don't manage to close any, then it will be a futile exercise, right? So what I usually suggest is, let's start off with only one experiment for a retrospective, even if it's quick. But at least like this, we can get the habit of closing off experiments, learning from metrics, and moving forward as a team.
Right. I'm thinking more like, okay, let's say we conduct 3 experiments. They're all 3 more or less kind of successful, right?
Okay.
I mean, at that point, are you then saying, well, okay, they're all successful, they all benefit, but this one costs more than the other one, so we're going to go with this one. I mean, how are you deciding among your successful experiments after you have a few?
Sure. So what you're saying then is a matter of placing the lessons that you learned into your backlog, no? And I think when it comes to that, it's a matter of prioritization, business value, strategy. So when it comes to, in your case, developing an app, yeah, so now you have a backlog. Okay.
I have a question, Matthew.
Yes, please.
Okay, this is first days for me about for a product owner. I'm beginner product owner. Wish me luck.
Good luck.
Thank you. I looking for certification to make me a good product owner. Any recommendation?
Okay, so there are plenty out there. I've done a few. I've tried the ones from Scrum Alliance, the ones from Scrum.org. I think the most important thing is that you do your reading, and that you get exposed to knowledge and experiment. So Mahmoud, you will learn a lot from your day to day, and that's what will make you an awesome product owner, really.
Thank you.
And excuse me, Matthew, I have a question. Like, I'm confused. Like, I don't know if it is relevant. What is the difference between the SWOT analysis and the popcorn? Like, here also we are discussing about the problems and observations, and there also we'll take the strengths and opportunities. So means I don't know. I just want to know the difference.
Well, I think they both serve their purposes, right? So the SWOT analysis is an analysis. It's an analytical tool for a team, for an app, and it maps out the strengths and weaknesses and so on. The popcorn flow is more of a structured way how to take your weaknesses, if you want to start off with a SWOT analysis. Okay, take your weaknesses and move them on to something that the team or organization can learn from. So it's more of it's a meeting format that ultimately leads to experimentation rather than just analyzing. Yeah.
Okay. So here in experimentation, as somebody said here, like if one experiment is more voted by many a member of the team. Like even if if it is not the best solution, but it is in a short term we can make it. It's workable in short term, because some best solutions may take time. So, but to deliver to the customer the immediate solution, sometimes we might not go to the best solutions. We might go to the easy solutions. So then wouldn't be like, can we apply this SWOT analysis there to like pick up the strength and weakness of that experiment? Means I'm just asking, I don't know it.
Sure, I mean, yeah, I mean, I've never done it, but I think it can be helpful. The biggest, I think, apart from the flow, the biggest, the strongest element of a popcorn flow is the convergence part of when voting for a single problem, because from then onwards, it's basically this, if you disagree, you can still commit because you can still understand the concerns of the problem. And so yeah, and to what you're saying, if there are multiple experiments, let's do shorter iterations. Let's do more experiments more often. So yeah, and if SWOT analysis helps, do it.
Yeah, thank you. So, and in the last the exercise you gave, that you said like from the options we have discussed, you have to take one of the solution, because then we had I don't know, this is practically in real time it will happen, but I don't know. But now because of the short session, we took one experiment and we figured out the how to test on that, but it might be not the best solution. So in that's what I came up from, like how we go with the time restriction for providing the solution to the customer, sometimes maybe not best. So that's why, like, then how do we compromise the quality, and how can we give assurance to the customer that we are providing the best solution? I don't know.
Okay, so it depends a lot in the way. So it depends a lot on the way that you analyze the pain points that you are trying to address. In your exercise, you are limited to translate only one option into an experiment. But what usually happens is that you come up with multiple experiments that you haven't committed to yet, and then you see you do the kind of either SWOT analysis or opportunity analysis for every experiment, right? So as a team, then you say, okay, so this might be a long shot, or this is actually something that might give us a very good lesson. And I mean, at the stage you would evaluate which experiments might bring in the value that will move on the team in the right direction.
So this popcorn, this flow is applied to the, you said like design sprint, right?
I've never done it in a design sprint. I've done it in retros. I've done it in...
But is it like a sprint is a time box thing, right? We have a time box. So how do you take it? Like, is it like if it's a big experiment, so do you scatter it to different sprints and do you take like that, or... I'm trying to understand.
Are you referring to a design sprint again or to a retrospective? Sorry, because
I'm thinking like if you have taken this in the beginning of the product mapping, like you're designing a product and you're taking different solution, you're figuring out you're developing a new product, or you're getting some existing one into a new so you're improvising. So how do you figure out that experiment is like if you take in the design sprint, like if it is a time box thing, so how do you apply that?
So I get you. So yeah, if you see that two experiments can lead to very insightful information, and the team is big enough to split, then I think in a design sprint it's good to split and come up with two prototypes. That would be awesome actually, because then you have two ways how to learn and to beef up your idea.